My show taken over, killed everyone. Someone knew where the treasure was, and I couldn't leave
Party
any
with the
evidence.
flip side.
All right, guys, we are live.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, everybody. Sean Dotson here with the flip side, and it is Wednesday night. It's the after party. It's your favorite non-PC beer drinking, thrill of the chase talking show. So welcome, everybody, to the flip side after hours party. Yeah. I got my co-host, D-Call, and K-Pro. David tonight is not available. He is a little under the weather, so we're going to say hi to our brother David, who couldn't make it here tonight. So, hey, brother David, we miss you, brother. But we also have, of course, the long-awaited and highly anticipated Totally Not Mitzi. So, Mitzi, say hi to everybody.
It's not me.
Totally not you.
It's totally not Mitzi.
Totally
Absolutely not.
I'm Mitzi. I'm Mitzi's evil and Trixie.
Just like Decoy and Leroy. Nice.
So we can double date.
We can double date. So everybody, once again, I'm out here in Farmington, New Mexico, of course, but tonight I'm at the Three Rivers Brewery tap room, and I'm having a Royal Amber, also known as the Double Blazes IPA. Cheers. I just want to say cheers to everybody out there in the chat room tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Diet Coke. Sorry.
So, Mitzi, what are you drinking down there? We know the call's always
drinking. I'm drinking. It's very, very strong shit. I don't know if I should share.
Yeah. Water.
Water.
I have one of those too. I pretend too, Mitzi.
I don't ever drink alcohol because I get really friendly when I drink, and for some reason, every time I drink,
somebody get that girl a beer.
I think that I should raise my bra up a flagpole, and I don't know why. But then when I get drunk, I'm like, well, it's tradition now, so I'm gonna have to find a flagpole. So that doesn't happen if I don't drink. If I just smoke weed, that never happens.
Oh.
So you're like you're a calm stoner then. That's what it is.
Yeah. It shows me out. Keeps my bras. I go through a lot of bras.
You go through a lot of bras. Victoria's Secret loves you.
Or are you on the pink side?
So I'm going to say hi to everybody here in the chat room really quick. The chat room's just rumbling on.
They're already saying, oh, my God.
Looks like Jason and Sasha were the front-running bastards and bitch tonight. Fenn Treasure Hunters were the first one in. Hi, Jason. Hi, Sasha. Journeyman, how are you? Alan K. You need to check your email, Alan K. Sledneck, hey, brother, how are you? Jay, Minnesota. Julie Smith, that's a new name I haven't seen before. Daystar, I think that's one I haven't seen in a while. Jimmy Fast, I was hoping you would email me, but hey, Jimmy Fast, send me an email. Finding the Chest, how are you? ES, our friend Eric, how are you? Sean Martinez, brother, you need to check your email. Journeyman, Faith Hunter, 23 Monarcha, that's DeCall's best friend.
Yes.
How are you? Rob G, David Dow, 23 Skiditto, Journeyman again. Copper Dan, hey, Copper Dan. Off Trail Jaeger, DAK, Sakar, I liked your video. Hey, by the way, it's good to meet you. Britt Chaser, hey, what's going on?
It's
Welder
official
for
now.
Hire, I liked your video as well. Did you see Welder for Hire?
Yeah, we talked on the phone.
Right on.
Really great guy. Love what he's doing in the welding field. He's no amateur. He's top-notch pro.
I might have to vote him for the best beard in the chase.
Yeah, not
the guy's
bad.
got a great beard going for a welder. I mean, how do you keep that thing going without burning it up half the time?
It burns. Don't worry, it burns.
Yeah, IG. Hey, buddy Allen, check your email, brother.
Okay.
Virgil Kane is my name. Jim Ellison, Sir Crow. Hey, Sir Crow, liked your video as well, brother. Good to see you putting them out there. That's good. Jonesy, you need to check your email as well. Zozo Rocks. Joe Fox with Fox Gaming. Joe, check your email as well. Aaron Ramsey. That's a new name, I think. I don't think I've seen that name. Ben Downing. Hey, brother Ben. Well, we got a lot of great people in here tonight. So, I just want to say hi, everybody in the chat room. Again, we wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for you guys. And so, first of all, we finally, again, we've got Totally Not Mitzi in here. We've had her in the chat room. A lot of crazy talk going on in the chat room. It's great. I mean, she's a lot of fun in the chat room. But, man, Mitzi, we really want to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about you, where you're at, or tell us what you want about it. How'd you get in this chase? I mean, we want to know a little bit about you. So
I promise to tell you the absolute truth.
Uh-oh.
That's what Forrest said too. Yeah.
I would never try to mislead. The blaze is white.
Really?
How do you know this?
Fenn told me. We're old friends. No, I learned about the chase back in February. I was about to pass out one night, and my brother called me, and he was like, "Hey, there was something on the news. It's totally morbid." He's like, "There's something on the news. This guy died looking for a treasure, and you have to solve a poem." I was like, "Oh, fantastic news!
Interesting,
That's
yeah.
great, great. This guy died, and so now I'm finding out about this treasure." It's like I said, totally morbid. But yeah.
Which one was it? Randy or the preacher guy or the Eric guy or whatever?
Eric Ashby, or
whoever the last person was.
It was Eric Ashby is the newest.
Yeah.
Even though they waited like almost a year to like bring him up.
Well, yeah, they had mentioned it right after he did, and that was like what, June or July of last year, or even August, and then. But
it stayed so long in rumor category, kind of like we didn't know if that was real or not.
Yeah.
And then it's been so weird that the news doesn't really cover everything. And then when it was
that's not weird. Sorry, that's not weird. They're out of their mind.
No, trust me. I'm the first guy to, but that's cool. What else can you tell? I know you live a secretive life, Mitzi. Tell us.
I'm very secretive. No, so then I was living in Colorado. My brother was staying in Colorado too. And I was like, well, we're about to move to Texas. So why don't we just throw all of our stuff into a storage shed and head up to Wyoming,
Wow.
like in between. And we'll just leave our stuff, in southern Colorado and then pick it up on the way back. So we were like, okay, let's go up to Wyoming. And we planned on staying there for like 2 weeks, but I'm from Texas originally, so I underestimated the snow. Wow. But I'm stubborn, so I stayed anyway. And so I hiked a couple of times when the snow was down to like a couple inches on the ground, thinking, oh yeah, I can make like 7.5 miles, no problem. And no.
Where were you hiking?
So eventually, this little spot up in the Rocky Mountains.
Oh.
And
I was trying to steal your treasure spot. Yeah.
Well, there were a lot of salamanders there, so I don't want you to get too excited about my place.
That sounds like a great spot.
So finally, like our 2 weeks turned into like 3 months, and then finally the snow got out of our way, and we went hunting around, and then I was like, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, when I didn't have to be back in Texas until September, so I was like, we've got time to just hang out while going down there. We'll just stay here. We're already here,
So you're living in Texas now?
Yeah, now I'm in Texas.
Huh,
and
nice.
But then when I was in Wyoming, I decided that it was really back in Colorado where we started. And so we went back to Colorado and stayed there for a little bit and searched around. And then now we've been making trips back and forth to the storage shed and going boots on the ground whenever we get back. So we've got like one more trip. So I'm trying to like wait until it snows, so I've got an excuse to go back next summer and stay for like a month before I come back.
How many boots on the ground, Mitzi? Total?
Maybe like 20 something, but only 3 places.
Okay, cool.
Right on.
Cool.
Like I'm pretty settled. Like I found the biggest salamander, so I know I'm right.
Did you find a 900-foot salamander or an 800-foot one salamander?
Yeah, and it's a white salamander too. So
I
know things to call.
It's over. It's over. Let's all of it.
The blaze is a white salamander. You heard it.
Dick wasn't waiting for something to give up its all. This is it. Tonight, you've made history.
William Ortiz, Mitzi just said in the chat room, how many boots in the air is the real question?
Well,
Now
I take
we're
my brother with
really
me
going down
as
the
my
road.
search partner, so there's no boots in the air. Yeah. But my brother, speaking of boots in the air, my brother thinks that some of y'all are pretty darn hot. He has a crush on you, Sean, and Rodney, and Jason already knows that my brother has a crush on him. So if you want his number, I can hook you up.
Nice.
But he's a brawn. He's like 6'4", 320 pounds. So I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be my pack mule. You're carrying my water. You're carrying back my treasure. And we haven't found the treasure yet, but still, I really like rocks, and I've always liked rocks. So I've always had this big lug lugging back big rocks for me. So I fill up both backpacks when we come out there with
Oh my gosh! Wow,
They need to be big
special.
gold rocks. They need to be ones about the size of a hand.
I'm really good at finding quartz, but whatever.
Hey, what they say where quartz is could be
Fool's gold and quartz.
Yeah, there's been, I've seen, now that you mention that, and there's this whole thing that we joke about the blaze is white, but there is a lot of people that believe that like some quartz vein or something could be the blaze. I mean, there's a lot of people that think that.
It could be.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's either a woolly mammoth or a salamander vein.
Right.
100%.
You're not just teasing right now. You actually believe in salamanders.
No, I don't believe in salamanders.
I believe in salamanders. Yes.
You had him going, didn't you? You just broke his heart. Come on.
Look, I can't tell you the truth, or else he might find out where my salamander is or something.
Oh, jeez.
You never know.
People looking for each other's salamanders.
Actually, next time I go boots on the ground, I'm gonna make a couple extra stops, and I'm gonna paint some salamanders out some places.
Yeah, get you a little stencil. Get you a stencil. Put FF and salamander everywhere. FF salamander.
Did I just cut out, or did y'all?
I think you frozen up, or you're just smiling at a perfect still stance. I think Mitzi just
crap.
Hey Sean, I did Sean Martinez, I do see your message in the chat in Zoom, so I'm there, brother. I've got you. I got great music going on in the background, guys. I'm all singing to it. So what do we think? What do you think of this whole discussion over on Toby's about the 9 clues that are not in Forrest Fenn's poem? I thought that was definitely an interesting take on it as far as what we think are hints or clues outside of the poem. What do you guys take on that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Toby's got to work on his titles. Maybe if he had the right titles, it would be more intriguing. I spent the whole last couple days catching up on everybody's roundtable number 2. And I normally don't miss any of AGK either, but I like the idea. I think it's like one of my big ones is the 7,000 foot comment. Okay, that's what came out of Forrest Fenn's mouth, and then he changed it to 52 or 5,000 feet.
Yep.
And that's also that's the time he said, "I'm not going to put an X on the map for you." So that was 2 kind of big ideas out of one video moment. I thought that was pretty cool.
But take it one step further, he didn't put an X in the poem either.
Yeah.
He left the X out.
Right.
And segueing off of that, when Jason got his his comment from Forrest, talk about the one good clue that searchers could think of themselves but haven't. Could that be the 10th clue? Could that be the missing X? I mean, X is a Roman numeral for 10. And I know, DeCall, you and I have had a lot of discussions about this, about what is that one good clue that we could think of ourselves. Could it be that missing X? Why is it? It's always an X on a treasure map, right? I mean, we all agree.
Well,
I mean, that's what it's always.
Isn't it? It's a missing double X, if I understand it right, because and for Sakar, or anybody that doesn't know about this, you'll find every letter of the alphabet in the poem twice. Okay, there's 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 Q's, 2 Y's, 2 Z's. There's 2 of everything, but there is not 2 X's. Okay?
What's the second
There's
Q?
0.
I know Quest, but what's the other one?
It's there. That's what's so bizarre is the queue is very difficult. And I can't believe I can't think of it right now, but it's there.
Oh, we just lost Misty.
Yeah, hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah, Mitzi, if you're watching this, just jump back in.
Quickly. Yeah, Aaron
Quickly,
or Anon got it. Yeah.
Thank you,
Quickly
Anon.
and Quest.
There she is.
There she is.
She's almost here.
There she is. You're back in. Hi.
I guess my internet went out, so I switched over to data.
That's all right. We're good. As long as it's not me. If I go out, then it really gets fun.
Well, for a minute, I just thought it was you because I had it pulled up on my computer screen right behind my phone so I could watch the chat.
The delay.
And so I just thought like you were lagging. So I was just like waiting for it to reconnect. And then I was like, oh, because I don't have any internet.
Bill Gorman, I divorced my ex and she was replaced by an asterisk.
But that would mean punctuation matters.
It does. It does matter. It's there. It matters.
Oh.
So
that'll be round table number 3. Okay. We're gonna stir this. I can't believe how much drama has been created by the whole what versus where thing.
I think and I don't even think it's drama. I think it's sparking good content battle, and the battle not in a bad way. It's like we finally have some content that we all want to get around, that we want to just debate, which I think is awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
So I just like it. I love it because I can keep an eye on everyone and I know if they're anywhere close to what I'm doing. So I'm like, yeah, y'all, everyone make a video on where warm water's halt. That way I can just eliminate whether I need to stalk you or not.
I need to stalk you and hunt you down and kill you out of my
Stay away from my chest. As long as
let me ask you guys this. Sean and Christy and Mitzi, if Forrest Fenn said that many people have gotten the first clue right, wouldn't you think that means that it's a warm waters halt that has been discussed at some point, maybe even one that's been discussed extensively? Or do you think an obscure warm waters halt is of any value at all, like a once, like one of Cynthia's well-documented warm waters halt that nobody else would have a clue about?
Yeah. Really quick, my wife just messaged me on Facebook. I got to say hi to my daughter, Bradley, who's still up. Hi, Bradley.
Hi, Bradley.
Hi, Bradley. We love you.
Go to sleep.
Go to bed, girl. Sorry, Dee. Sorry to interrupt you. That's important. Family first.
So don't worry.
You said the fact that people have identified the first 2 clues, but go ahead again with the call. Sorry. I lost the train of thought there.
No. If warm waters halt is the first clue, and Forrest Fenn has said many people have figured out the first clue, then
has he said that? Is that an exact quote?
Yeah, Sean, you want to exact quote it, but
no, I think Jason and Sasha flamed me the other night for not having the quote exactly right. So.
Oh, nice.
I think you said many people have been within 500 feet of the treasure.
No, forget about that
quote. Many people have figured out the first 2 clues.
Yes.
But went right on past the treasure, or went right on past the other 7 clues. So it sounds like a lot of people, have identified potentially the correct where warm waters halt.
Well, and that's what my point is. Does that make an obscure warm waters halt less likely? Does that make let's just pick one since it's mine, Madison Junction, more likely, or Boiling River more likely? I rewatched Jason Dent's top 10 warm waters halt video.
Yeah, it was a good video.
Really good, great video. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think the point that we're missing from that is that although a lot of people may have what he's kind of said is have arrived there, but they didn't know it. They had no certainty in the fact that they were at the right place. That the people that have gotten 200 feet, the people that have been 500 feet, how do we know that those people are continually going back to the right spot? I think those people have no certainty in that location. And like he states, and too far to walk, I warned the path would not be direct for those who had no certainty in the location beforehand, but sure for the one who did. Somehow we're supposed to have certainty. And that is a conundrum that gets debated a lot about. Forrest Fenn has said, and I'll probably not get this exactly right, but he said, you will not know you've had the first clue correct until you've recovered the treasure. So how can we have certainty in the location beforehand, but not yet sure that we have the first clue right until we recover the treasure? It's a bit of a conundrum there that's really hard to reconcile.
Well, Sean, that's one of the questions I recently asked Forrest, and I said something like, you tell us not to go out because we'll have to play canasta, which I think is a clue, but we're going to play canasta if we don't go out with confidence. We as a community are doing the opposite. We are so confident, and we are walking back in our walk of shame. Can you, and I paraphrase, I don't go this long with him. I said, can you tell us, how do we go out there with confidence? And
that's the question. Holy crap, me and Sean have been
do you want to hear his answer?
Yeah, please.
He wouldn't answer. He's not answering. The other day, Sean, or the other week, Sean gave me we worked on the exact words and Justin, and he's like, I'm not answering any of these. These will give everything away. So I do crappy worded questions, and he answers them because he's able to give us nothing. You guys, you clever little
It's
treasure
the
hunters.
way you word them, and then you use it against us all the time. Punctuation doesn't matter.
Punctuation doesn't
matter. Sakar said the exact quote in here. He said, and he got it off of Terry Scamp. Thank you, Sakar. He said, no, many people have found the first clue, but they didn't know it. And that's exactly it. That word know it, or those two words together, is very synonymous with certainty, right? Mitzi, I mean, confidence, certainty, knowing it.
Well, I think even if it's an obscure where warm waters halt, there's still going to be local somewhere close to that area, and they're all going to know that spot, from their uncle or grandpa or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, there was definitely a lot of interesting talk in the discussion between what was more important, trying to figure out what or where was. So why don't, if everybody is adamant, and probably 80 to 90% of the search community believes that figuring out what warm waters halt is more important than where. The other 20, 15% or whatever believe where is more important. So let's talk about what warm waters halt could be. And one of the key things Forrest Fenn has always said, or not always said, but did mention, is one of the most important things I think came out of that whole warm waters halt, is the fact that he said in that conversation with a middle school class when they asked him, what does warm mean to you? And he said comfortable. So what do we get from that? If we're just supposed to break down, warm waters halt, let's forget about where. Let's take that out of the equation and say warm waters halt. What does that mean to everybody here on the panel? And what do we get out of that when we talk about the context of the word warm being comfortable?
Well, you and I are never going to agree on this, Sean. Yeah, Mitzi, do you want to say?
I'm not saying we're not.
Whenever I was raised in a town really close to where Forrest grew up. And so everything that Forrest says kind of sounds a little bit like stuff my grandpa would say. So when I think of what my grandpa would say when it's warm, he would say, it's warm outside. That means it's like 110 freaking degrees. If it's cool outside, that means it is cold. You better put on your Carhartt.
It's 58 degrees. That's cold.
Right. So warm could be, burning up to a Texan. It really just depends on what mood or context they're thinking about at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think context is the perfect word here because what the hell, warm could mean anything. And that's why I'm so wrapped up in what does the book say? Because we got the poem memorized. Everyone in the room's got the poem memorized. But that doesn't give us context. That gives us the poem. So context is what does the book say? What is Thrill of the Chase saying? That's the top number one context. Number two context would be probably Too Far to Walk. Number three context would probably be Forrest Fenn's videos.
Where does the poem come in?
No, context. I mean, we have the poem memorized, so we're not going to ever leave the poem. That's the purity and truth of the poem. Okay. But now where do you get context? Because how do you answer warm water anything? How do you answer warm waters? What warm waters? Where warm waters without context?
Well, and I think that's what we're talking about. I mean, he did give us a bit of context by telling us that warm meant comfortable to him.
Sure.
And that's
and
what
you're getting that from the book, aren't you?
No, I'm getting that from his, Forrest Fenn, talks to a middle school, which is over on Down Nitzel, which we got.
Okay, yeah.
I want to say we got that in 2017. Somebody can probably tell me exactly when we got that. It wasn't a scrapbook. It was like,
yeah, you're right.
Fenn gets mail from a middle school. It was completely outside of that. So now you bring up a good point to call, and that is the priority of information. We all can agree. I think everybody in the chat room, everybody here in the panel can agree the most important thing is the poem. Secondary to that is probably the book. Tertiary to that would be probably some of the early interviews.
Yeah.
Then you could go into scrapbooks, and you can go into Too Far to Walk. You can go in. And Mitzi, did you have something to say? Sorry.
Speaking of the book being like, second for you, what do you think about the little girl in India? Because they didn't ask if she didn't have the book. Could it be that you can only find clue 3 if you also have the book versus you have to be boots on the ground?
I think, and I talked about this when the first interview or interrogation, I like to call it, with Toby when I was on his show, when I did the whole video about it was my second video I put out about, does the poem require a water crossing? And there was a whole point in that. And my point is, I think there is a geological barrier that could prevent a little girl or even a little kid from Waxahachie, Texas, or wherever else from getting past a certain geological feature that could prevent them from doing that. So again, he said, and I think it was in scrapbook 78 or something, he said, I never said that a little girl could walk right up to the treasure. So he kind of clarified that and said, I think a little 3-year-old girl would need some help. So when you talk about a little girl from India, are we talking about a 20-year-old girl who's only 3 foot tall? Or are we talking about a little girl who might be 3, 5, 6 years old? We don't know. I mean, we have to assume that she's a little girl. If there is some kind of geological feature, whether you think that is a river, whether you think that is a mountain or something, or a pile of rocks that she can't get past, she may need some help. So I look at it that way, that the little girl can't get any closer. Could it be geography because she's in India? Sure. But then he clarified that with the little boy from Waxahachie or whatever else. So, but again, that little boy from Waxahachie may not have a driver's license. He can't. I mean, the debate goes on and on. Forrest Fenn never directly answers a question. It's always, the question is either worded in a way where it leaves him room to wiggle, or he's just so smart with his words that he leaves us guessing.
Well, I totally think you have stepped into the right concept of little girl from India is really a question about context. Can she figure it out based on the poem only? Yeah. And that has been talked about a lot. Is Fenn saying that she could find the first 2 clues
from the poem? I think that's what, the question was worded by Jenny. If a little girl from India had only your poem and a map of the Rocky Mountains, could she figure out, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, could she figure out where your treasure is?
All right, so here's the question, Sean. Here's the question. What is the second clue, and how far is that? What does the little girl from India have solved?
Well, everybody knows I'm a 9 sentences, 9 clues.
Yeah.
So again, we can debate about the word first and the word in context. And Forrest Fenn has told us the first clue, or the primary clue, is begin at where warm waters halt. Now, again, he's told Phil Bayman. Well, no, and he's told Phil Bayman and Steve R. that if the only 2 clues you had is begin at where warm waters halt and somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe, they could not correctly, with confidence or any level of confidence, figure out the correct starting point. He's told them that because they were oversimplifying the clues or they're leaving out ingredients. So to me, that hints to the fact that they're leaving out some key information. That key information could be the entire, what I determine as the clue, which is the entire sentence. So to me, the first 2 clues really could be that whole second stanza. Other people look at it. Other people look at it and go, okay, well, begin at where warm waters halt is 1 clue. And then the second clue would be, and take it in the canyon down. Okay. They could be right. I could be completely wrong. Again, I'm just going off.
I think until we have something better than the 9 sentences, it's stupid or silly to hope that we have the 9 sentences right, or the 9 clues right.
Sure.
Did my sentence come through?
Yeah, we heard you. We heard you fine.
Okay.
Again, it matters not whether we think the 9 clues or the 9 sentences or they're just 9 lines that revolve between begin and cease. It really doesn't matter.
So let me ask you,
if one can figure out the whole context of the poem and circumstance himself to the treasure, it really doesn't matter. But we have to ask ourselves, why does he tell us 9 clues?
Right. So, yeah, great idea, great point. So the little girl from India has mentally put in below the home of brown.
And Anon, that wasn't in the Jennifer London video. That was in a different radio interview that he said stanza 2 sounded like 3 or 4 clues to him. And he said sounded like. I mean, that's a key part. I mean,
well, yeah, a lot of people don't agree with that. I tend to agree with you, Sean, that the second clue is put in below the home of brown. And so therefore the little girl from India has figured out warm waters halt and put in below the home. And the point I'm getting at is, okay, in the context of Forrest Fenn, his books, his life, his thing, we should, in theory, be able to figure out where warm waters halt relatively not easy, not simply.
You don't think canyon's the second clue?
No, hell no. The 9 sentences. The second sentence is put in below the home of brown. Now, until you hand me a better 9 clues than the 9 sentences, I'm always going to think that's me being a Fenn purist.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you say better though? Like better, like he doesn't have the treasure, I don't have the treasure, they don't have the treasure. Like how's it better?
You take 100 people in this room or whatever.
All 100 don't have the treasure. Okay, go ahead.
Right. All 100 don't have the treasure. And every single one of them has their own idea about the 9 clues. But in the poem, you've got purity and truth. Okay. So we've got 9 sentences. It only makes sense that the most obvious 9 clues are the 9 sentences. It's the most logical answer. It's the most obvious answer. And therefore we stick with that until we hear a better, more logical approach than 9 sentences. Am I right, Sean, or what? I mean,
yeah.
Or what do you say, Christy? What's better than that? Tell me something that's better than that.
Well, go ahead, Sean.
Again, I said it in my 9 sentences of the 9 clues video, is that we're all just guessing. There's no, I mean, if you're not going off of just the 9 sentences of 9 clues, and I'm not saying that's it for certain, that is just my opinion based on what I'm seeing, but we're all just guessing. There's no certainty in what the 9 clues are. But the reality, it doesn't matter what you think the 9 clues are or not, if you can simply understand what the poem is telling you as a whole in circumstance to the treasure. Now, one thing that's came out of this whole round table of what versus where is that those people that believe that what is important are probably the same people that believe that the first clue is simply begin it where warm waters halt and that's it. Now, if you believe that that begin it where warm waters halt and just that singular line is the first clue, then yes, trying to figure out what warm waters halt is the priority. But if you look at the first clue as being that entire sentence, begin it where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down, not far, but too far to walk as the whole clue, then the idea switches from what warm waters halt to where warm waters halt, because you're not isolating that singular line as a clue. But if you think it is just that singular line, then yes, the focus is on what.
Well, but there's a quote out there that they give that first sentence of where warm water halt, a canyon down, and they said, is that a clue? And his quote, and I'm not going to steal this from you, Craig Carter says, his exact quote was, that sounds like 3 or 4. Right. So was he lying there, or could be that interpreted differently?
Well, I mean, you got to understand the guy's just saying sounds like, sounds like is not. It sounds like to me like gut feeling. My gut feeling is that sounds like 3 or 4 clues to me. I mean, it's the same kind of semantics. He's avoiding the question, because the person directly asked him, "Well, that sounds like a clue, doesn't it?" And he said, "Well, it sounds like 3 or 4 to me." I mean, he can't obviously give it away. It's no different than me asking him the question, okay, 4 years later now, do you think that, that 12-foot statement is still the truth? Better not answer that question, Sean. He's avoiding the question. I mean, he's better off not answering
avoiding,
at all.
I think, is different than it sounds like 3 or 4. I take it more literal of there are 3 or 4 WWWH Canyon Down. Like it seems to me he was saying there's several.
Okay, well then let's go back to his remark in the the collected works video that I mentioned this week, where he says in there at the 34-minute and 40-second mark, he says, if someone was to read the poem over and over and they were able to figure out the first few clues, they could find the treasure. So that leads to believe that those people that believe that singular lines are an individual clue, and that means begin at where warm water's halt is one clue, take it in the canyon down is another clue, and then not far but too far to walk. So he's saying those people that could figure out those first few clues could find the treasure, and he could walk directly from it with those few clues. I mean, that means that the blaze is not important. That means that put in below the Homer Brown is not important, that you could find the treasure with just those 3 clues. Sorry, I don't subscribe to that. Doesn't mean it's not right. I just don't subscribe to that. And again, that's him saying, oh, it sounds like 3 or 4 to me. Again, sounds like is a lot different than, yes, that is 3 clues. A lot different.
Yeah, and I mean, Fenn has contradicted himself.
Yes.
I think Minotaur Marino and Ben Downing, they're raising a good discussion on this. And listen, I have for years argued.
That is why poem purity is
okay, but I have argued, guys, for years that the first stanza is the first clue. And literally, it is the first clue because it's the first line
that we read.
Forrest says the first clue is WWWH.
I know. Okay,
there's a different definition of first. It's a first clue that we read as reading the poem.
Okay, so
not the primary clue we have to figure out.
Okay, so don't be mad at me and don't be mad at this idea that Forrest Fenn singled out the second sentence. He said the second sentence is the first clue. Okay, so now we got a conundrum here. Now we got the first stanzas just floating in the air above.
Conundrum. That's a good Fenn word.
Conundrum. So
maybe the question we ought to be asking Fenn.
Fenn's gonna have that as his word of the week next week.
And I asked Forrest Fenn this exact question. I said, "Okay, Forrest, what's the second clue?"
No, it's put in below the Homer Brown. Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, he's not. I guarantee he will not answer that question.
Oh yeah, Forrest. We're anxiously awaiting for the second clue.
Well, why
What's
does he
the second clue?
All 9 and walk us right to the poem? I mean.
Yeah, Forrest.
Okay, for me,
give us number 3.
This is what I need to know. I need to know what the hell does Mitzi think? We've been having her here.
I know.
Mitzi, we need your opinion on.
No, she got us on the little girl from India. We were talking about.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where y'all are at.
Derailed us in a different direction. Good job, Mitzi. We're getting a contact high from Mitzi.
So, okay, let me go to something a little bit different. I think the whole conversation about what are the 9 clues outside the poem has invited us all to think about what is outside the poem that's special to us. I can tell you it's my 1 mile thing. I won't go on because I know everybody's heard it. But Mitzi, I'm very anxious to hear, what have you interpreted from different quotes or clues that you think, I have something other people don't have. This is why I'm getting the treasure, me and my brother, and we're going to laugh all the way to the bank, baby. What is that for you, Mitzi?
Well, mine just seems really obvious. And he says that the clues, he says that the clues, they get simpler as they go. And all of my clues get simpler as they go. I mean, like, they were a little tough to figure out, some of the last ones. But if you look at the whole poem.
What's your second clue? Is it canyon?
And take it in the canyon down.
Well, you're Mitzi, you're right. And the fact that Forrest Fenn has said, in the EIS radio interview from 2013, he said, you got to figure out, and then he paused, you've got to learn where the first clue is. They get progressively easier once you discover where the first clue is. Again, that where versus what? He said, you've got to learn where the first clue is. Now, if he's told us the first clue is begin at where warm waters halt, we obviously know where in the poem now the first clue is. So, I mean, he's not referring to where in the poem. He's referring to where in the Rocky Mountains.
I think that a lot of people have figured out quite a few of the clues because it seemed pretty obvious whenever I was at my first location. But the problem is they all decide that, you know, the the rest of the poem is full of Toby's fluff. And I don't think it is. I think you have to finish the whole poem before you get to where you're going. And so once I sat down and relooked at it, it was kind of hard to figure out exactly what it was I was looking for until it just kind of like hit me in the face. But, you know, I don't want to go too much into that because I'm 100% right. I'm getting the test next summer.
Yeah, and I think Mitzi, the fact that a lot of people, like he said, have figured out the first 2 clues, and then they went right past the 7, or I hear
a lot of people solves, and a lot of it sounds not simple. Yeah. You know, and if he says the clues get easier, then whenever I hear other people telling me their solves, I'm like, that doesn't sound like that's not my definition of gets easier. Whenever you have big elaborate stories and things,
mine is elaborate
to go with it.
Well, because people are
not if you're just out looking for a salamander. I mean, you know,
people are going so far outside the box, in my opinion.
Well, but there's things like
I don't take it personally.
There was one guy on Thor.
Hey, I think everyone's wrong but me, so no one take it personal.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that. But there was a guy on Thor that's like, I'm going to get it. I just have to rent a helicopter.
Yeah. How much did he spend on a helicopter? Gee.
He was famous but he said, I have simplified because I don't have to walk. It's not too far to walk. And there was no way. It's like D calls salamander. His helicopter was like that was it for him. And many of us said no, but just like what is first versus what is first, you can have different definitions of first if it's the first clue. I just go simplify. If he says the first clue and he said it like 600 times is WWWH, I am choosing to believe the word first means the first one, which is number
like
1.
The first step, right? Yeah. Not the first idea, but the first step.
And again, like I said, the first stanza could be an introduction. It could be that thing that, like a writer writes, they write that at the end of their writing. It's a synopsis or stating the purpose and the goals of the following writing. And what is the purpose of this poem? He said, so I wrote a poem that if followed precisely, or containing 9 clues that if followed precisely, will lead to the end of my rainbow and the treasure. So the purpose of the poem is to lead us to the treasure, right? So the introduction is telling us what the poem is going to do. It's going to hint of riches new and old. And if we go back to that lost treasure thoughts, he has said, yes, I'm sure the treasure chest relishes her guardianship of the rich objects concealed in her care. Riches new. And over those which he stands sentinel. Riches old. So you're thinking riches of things of monetary value, and you're thinking riches of natural resources, or the mountains and the river bottoms that we would find in his church.
So for me, and I don't want to take away from my fabulous number 2 that's going to come out, number 2 roundtable.
If it was so fabulous, you wouldn't have to think about it so much, and you can put it together in 5 minutes.
Oh no, I have to have Mike and I are doing a collaboration. This is a big thing.
So it's Mike that's holding you up. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying Mike's not even here.
How do you cover the first stanza in 5 minutes with two people?
Hold on. I will explain. Just give me a moment. I mean, the 800-pound salamander can be explained very quickly. Just a moment. So all I'm saying, I think the 9 clues are actually 9 physical locations.
Yeah.
The first stanza is not a physical location. It's kind of like what you said, Sean, in yours. I believe that it is a pointer to WWWH, which is the first of 9, and then you go Canyon Down, which is the second of 9, and then you go, and there are 9 pieces from there. I think the first stanza is here's how you get to the first one, but so when I hear 9 clues, the 9 clues are 9 physical spots that you can find on a map.
Okay, well,
there we go.
I want you to, you know the first stanza, right, Christy? Mitzi,
as I've gone alone in there.
We all know it by heart, right? Take out the second line of the poem and read the first stanza to me. Just completely take it out. Read it.
As I have gone alone in there.
Hold on. Let me get a drink.
No, let DeCall. He's got a better voice for this. So DeCall, go ahead.
As I have gone alone in there, I can keep my secret where and hint of riches new and old.
Does that not tell you that because, substitute the word as for because I have gone alone in there, I can keep my secret where, and I can hint of riches new and old, right? That's to me, that's telling us that because he's gone by himself with nobody, alone,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with nobody else. Two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. I've gone alone and hiding this treasure, okay? I can keep my secret where, and I can hint of it without giving it away, totally away. I'm going to make it difficult. I can hint of it. So what does that second line tell us? Now you have to really pay attention to that second line, because that may be the meat and potatoes that we need to know. At the end of it is what he's telling us. And I can't remember whose video it was, but they made a very good point of saying, and with my treasures bold in there, that there's something very key in that first stanza that's telling us that could be about that final location, about the treasure's resting spot or something in that singular line. Because that, if you take that line out and with my treasures bold, that doesn't tell you anything beyond what he's telling you. Because I have gone alone, I can keep my secret. And hint of which is doing. Now, a lot of people believe that that first stanza is hinting back to the book. And who's to say they are wrong? Not me. That's for damn sure. I am not the authority, and none of us in this panel or on this chat room right now are the authority on the chase. The man, the
Well, I do not have the book, and I'm 100% right. So there you go.
Well, you're the authority, Mitzi.
Now, why don't you have the book? I'm just curious. I want to hear from
you.
you.
At first, I didn't have the book because, I found it looking it up on the internet because my brother told me about the news story. And so I just looked it up on the internet and decided I know what I was doing. So, I ran right out. And then I went back in and I was like, okay, I'll research a little bit more on the internet and figure out what I'm doing. And then I was like, okay, second solve, I'm 100% right. I'm just going to stick with this one.
And Ben Downing, I can tell you.
And
right
then
now,
I decided I was
one of the
absolutely
top grammar guys in this chase right now.
I decided I was absolutely not going to buy the book because Troy makes such a big deal about, if you don't have the book, you don't deserve to be out looking for the treasure. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to buy the book. How about that? And I'm going to go get the chest, Troy.
Okay. Well, so then I took the
so
other.
now it's just because I'm stubborn. I don't know. I'll probably get it.
I've gotten this book, and I've gotten this book, and I've gotten this book, and then, oh, wait, I started going the opposite way. And then, of course, you got to get the codex, and then wait, Catcher in the Rye, you got to get that one. And then you got to get a dictionary. And this is one because it's all about the little girl from India. It's a student dictionary. So I got one of the, and so this is why they call me Kitchen Sink Christie, because I've decided to go the other way, but they're all rabbit holes. They're all rabbit holes.
You're right, Britt. They are rabbit holes.
Rabbit holes.
I agree. And okay, now we gotta go back to this original question before Mitzi went down the whole little girl from India chat, and that was a great discussion. But if we go back, okay, let's go back to just talking about what Warm Waters Halt could be, not where. Let's just talk about what Warm Waters Halt can be, because a lot of people believe that what is more important than where. That's fine. That's great. Who's to say they're wrong? Well, not me, for sure. But Forrest Fenn has said warm means comfortable to him. What can comfortable also mean? A lot of people believe that, Warm Waters Halt revolve around Yellowstone. Now let's just look at the context of the word comfortable. Comfortable can also mean, I'm comfortable with DeCall. I'm familiar with DeCall. I know DeCall's solve. I know DeCall's line of thinking. I know how he thinks about the chase. We have a close relationship. We have a warm, comfortable, familiar relationship. So could warm also mean familiar, as in well-known, well-rounded. He knows Yellowstone very well. He's very familiar with it. He's very comfortable. He has a warm relationship with Yellowstone. Can that also mean familiar? I mean, if you look at when he's talking about the Kachina dolls in one of the scrapbooks or one of his writings, he talks about having a warm relationship with those Kachina dolls. He's very comfortable. He's very familiar with them. So can warm also mean familiar?
I think so. My main point was that is he hinting that since many people have found Warm Waters Halt, that it is sort of on the more well understood locations. Pick the top 30 or 40 Warm Waters Halt in this game, and would you say it's one of those 30 or 40? Would you say it's in the top 10? Would you say it's the top candidate?
Well, if many people have been within 500 feet, it's definitely one of the top contenders.
Well, we can't assume distance either.
he said it's the most difficult. So all of a sudden it's the easiest because it's the
well,
one
no,
that
it's the most difficult to really wrap your head around and have certainty. And that's why so many people have been 500 feet of it and there's no certainty. It could be Madison Junction, but nobody has any certainty.
Well, and this kind of thing could drive you nuts trying to find confirmation here because all you end up with is confirmation bias, not confirmation. So we are driving ourselves crazy. And this whole distance thing confuses it. You know, how far is it from warm water salt to Quest to Cease? You know, how easy is it to decide on what's the correct? I mean, if the little girl from India can do it with a map and a poem, that's pretty incredible. And if many people have found it, then many people have probably talked about it. Okay, so I'm just trying to eliminate some of these people that are 1 in a million and they have their own unique warm water salt, and the likelihood of their warm water salt is pretty slim to none, since it's like a lesser qualified warm water salt, totally out of context from Thrill of the Chase or any kind of context or any kind of logic. I mean, I think Sean's interpretation of Homa Brown or things is certainly better than mine. But then I think your warm water salt, even though I don't know your warm water salt, but I know that it's.
I'm going to tell everybody in the chat room right now, I don't really give a shit about what warm water salt is. It's all about where.
Okay, what is it? You don't give a shit about it. What is it in your salt?
What is it in my salt? It doesn't matter what it is because I don't. It's not relevant.
But I'm not telling you.
What warm water salt is?
I'm not telling you, Sean.
It matters. It's like punctuation. It matters.
But Sean has a partner, okay? So he can't just go blabbing things, even though. And I'm not really. I mean, I am.
We won't tell David that you told us.
Well, they know Forrest Fenn has said, and we had that one question. It was from, I can't remember what searcher it was. It's Forrest Fenn. If one has certainty and they're Homa Brown, could they reverse engineer and figure out what warm water salt is? And Forrest Fenn says, you know, why are you concerned about what warm water salt is if you are certain about where or the Homa Brown? You know, you could you know, get some.
Because you're one step closer.
Money for the take. Sure, a lot of people can look at that and say, yeah, it's one step closer. But again, if you're sure about where, then why do you give a crap about what?
I've never cared about what.
If you're so isolated on that first clue being that singular line, then you can keep going down the rabbit hole about what is. This is just my opinion. Again, you go watching 80, 90% of the people believe what is more important than where.
Well, I think
I'm in the minority in this.
I think there was one question that wasn't asked that I think a majority, and I will agree with Dak. I believe a majority, if you were to do a poll, maybe on Thor, what, where, or it must be both. I think a majority would say it must be both. I might be wrong, but I throw that out as.
And if you can figure out where warm water salt and take it in the canyon down not far but too far to walk, what warm water salt may become more obvious and actually less important that you don't give a crap about what it is because you've already figured out where. If you figured out where warm water salt and you figured out the whole context of that clue, you don't give a crap about what it is because now you're trying to figure out put in below the Homa Brown. You've already figured out the where. Why do you care about what the what is?
Mitzi, you look so bored.
I just have a bored face.
And Mitzi, you've got this
bitch face.
My wife says we're being way too serious tonight. My wife said she.
Mitzi, you really think you got this thing solved? Like, let's do a Toby question.
Yeah,
what's your percentage? You're 100%.
I'm 100%.
Why don't you have it in hand right now?
Because the last time I went, I parked in the wrong spot and I was searching in the wrong spot. I was still in my area that
how close are you to the chest then?
I thought I could make feet? Like 3 miles and the altitude was too high. Like it just wiped me out. But now I have found a better spot that is much closer. So next time I go back, it's on.
So you think that you park too far away, that you think that where you could park is closer to the treasure is more likely where Forrest could have parked as well.
Yes, 100%.
And are you like 8 out of 9 clues solved, or 9 out of 9?
Like 10.
10 out of 10, yeah.
Wow.
10 out of 9.
So why aren't you running right now? Is your
Because,
spot?
Because right now I'm in the middle of moving the storage shed back and forth, and then I had to get my car fixed, and then I got a flat tire last time I was on boots on the ground, like a big fat screw like right in the middle of my tire, and a new tire. So now I still need to do a little bit more work on my car and put a couple more tires on it. So, maybe it'll happen before snow hits. Or
Christy, lend this girl $200 to fix her tires and stuff.
And I'll be out there. I don't know exactly where you're at.
I need 600 for the axle too. So
hey, we got Mike Davis in the room tonight. Hey, M. Davis, how are you? Omega Geek 64.
Nice.
That's
Did you notice that Iron Will is in the room? Woo,
Did Iron Will make it?
Iron Will, yeah. What's up, brother? Good chaser.
Iron, hey, brother.
Yeah, hey.
We got Mike and Iron in here. That's great. Eugene's in here. I see Eugene's in there.
The
awesome.
Delkin is in the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so Mitzi, if you were to give everybody one clue that is not in, just going off of Toby earlier, if you were to give everybody everyone in the Fenn universe one clue that was not in the poem, what would it be? And don't give everything away, but give us something.
That's my chest. Just give up now.
Oh, okay.
That's my clue. Oh, no.
Oh, Calazar's in the house.
Let me see.
Mike.
DeCall is right. And
wow, thank you.
For salamanders. That is the clue. And I promise I'm telling the truth.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Are you telling the truth? Wow.
You said white, but 900 pounds.
Nobody brought up 800 pounds.
I don't want to give anyone any clues because.
Right on.
Yeah.
And Bill Gorman, watch out because I'm going to sneak past you one night in a woolly mammoth mask. And I'm going to run really fast. I know just where it is.
Bill would like you sneaking up on him.
No, I'm going to run past him like I know where that chest is. And he's just going to have a heart attack and bail out of that trailer in his boxers. Dog running behind him. And then I'm going to have my brother waiting in the bushes to snipe him.
That's what I'm like. Have your brother distract him. I didn't want to say it, but
jump out.
What is your brother, like a hitman or like a bodyguard?
No, like snipe hunting. He'll just play the snipe. Yeah. Not like sniping with a gun, like Kyle's going to be
sniper hunting. Yeah. Snipers. Yeah, dang.
So what do we think about this this whole one good clue that we searchers could be
hang on just
figure out for ourselves but haven't yet? I believe it's where he parked his car. I keep going back to where he parked his car.
Come in and be quiet.
Yeah, but how do you not?
That's the final clue.
That's not in the poem.
Where he parked his car.
Okay, maybe it is.
Neither is this whole mention of him. What's the one good clue? I mean, he didn't say that in the book, or he didn't say that in the poem. Again, we got 9. 9 is an incomplete number. We're missing the X. 10. It just makes you think. Could that be the one good clue, the 10th clue? The final.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the word that is key, the idea that is key,
All we know is that it was Douglas Preston that saw the original version of the poem. Michael McGarity hasn't said anything. Anybody else that's close to him hasn't said, "Hey, I saw the original version."
The blogs. I met Chip in a bar. I know that's shocking.
Chip? I don't know who Chip is.
Family.
Chip's his cousin. He talked. He's on Dow. Chip saves a lot of the searchers that are in harm's way up in the Yellowstone area, and Chip's been kind of referenced a lot in those situations. I happened to just go in a not random. I went to Bullwinkle's, which is Old Totem Cafe, and I asked the bartender. I was like, boots on the ground, walk of shame, going, does anybody search? And Chip came over, and Chip 100% said he saw it. We had a 4-hour discussion. He got into lots of trouble with his wife. Me and my brother were there.
The poem or the box?
The poem, he saw the poem, he saw the previous version of the poem, he could recite it exactly.
Ooh.
I will say there's some similarities with what Sasha says, so with the stones and bones and all that. And you know, he talked to his uncle, cousin. I mean, Forrest calls
Uncle
him
cousin.
well, Forrest.
What is an uncle cousin?
Well, I wanted to
I
say
knew he
uncle,
was
but
from Texas.
Yeah, aren't you from Tennessee?
cousin. I don't want to start any rumors. Cousin, and he said I get calls every now and then. He had saved one of the people that were in the papers. Really, really genuine guy that was really nice. But he did confirm to me, and again, this isn't in any Forrest quote published, but he did say that he had seen it beforehand. He believed he's a searcher, so he was really great. So and had a lot of insight about how many searchers were up there, where he thought it was, where he lived, where he is searching. He like a guy that he's just an open book, genuine, down to earth guy. Gave me his card. He's a construction guy. Said, if you ever need a house built up here, here you go. I mean, he was really cool.
Wow. Let me get his number.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to call him and ask him what to recite the poem to me.
We're well over the hour mark here, and I want to close this thing up and wrap it up. So we're going to just go through it really quick and say our last thoughts to everybody here before we close this thing up. So, DeCall, you got any last words here?
Check out my new video on the second round table. It's almost impossible to cover the first stanza in 5 minutes, so I apologize for going to 6.5 minutes on mine. And it still felt kind of awkward. Yeah.
It's hard.
Naughty boy.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I think
bro,
it covers some solid stuff.
Let's see, Thor, Thor, Hint of Riches, and now Monday nights on the Raven's Nest. We do a K-Pro Cow Powwow, and Mike's doing a Thursday night coffee with the cow. So there you go.
Coffee with the cow. Awesome. I like that. Mitzi, you got any last words? We're so happy to have you on here. It's exciting. We're glad you came on. We got
Shut up, Jimmy. I know. Jimmy told me to quit smoking. I'm quitting smoking this winter so I can get the chest before you do, Jimmy. No, yes, last words. Jimmy, don't touch my booty. Slug neck, stay away from my chest. No one go looking for the Homer Brown. Just forget about it.
Or a lot of references there. Stay away from her booty, chest, and her Homer Brown.
You think Forrest Fenn is putting some sexual references in the poem?
Decall, no.
I mean, this is.
Yes, I think Forrest Fenn is a dirty old man.
Wow.
I didn't say
no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, come on. It was just getting good. I mean,
that's encore stuff. Let's save that for the encore. All right, folks. Hey, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up. We appreciate y'all coming to hang out with us tonight for a good hour or so. Maybe some more to come. We don't know. But again, we wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for you guys coming out here and hanging out with us tonight late on a Wednesday night. We know it's late, especially for you guys on the East Coast. We really greatly appreciate you guys coming out. Again, it's been a really fun night. Again, we're going to say hi to brother David out there who couldn't make it tonight. We also want to say hi to my little girl, Bradley, who should be in bed already with mom, probably crashed out. But, guys, it's been a fun night. And if you like this video, please give it a like. We always appreciate that. If you don't, there's another button for you too. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And I want to let everybody know I do have a Facebook page as well called The Flip Side of Forrest Fenn's Treasure Hunt. It's been out for 2-3 months now, but we're having fun with that. We've gotten up to 75 members now, and I'm starting to put out some new content on there. Actually, Mitzi and I tried doing a live video on there last night, but of course I screwed that up.
I told my whole fault too. Yeah,
that was totally my fault.
What kind of video was it?
Oh, you never know. But it was a lot of fun. But we're trying to put some interesting content on there just for those people that are, members of that group. So just for you guys there. So make sure you go check that out. Become a member of the group there. And I also post all the roundtable videos on there as well as the playlist on YouTube channel. So, guys, again, it's been fun tonight. We appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out with us, and we will catch you all on the flip side. Good night, guys. Let's give them all a wave. Give them all a wave.
Maybe with an encore. Maybe with an encore. Bye.
Perfect. All right. See you guys.
Maybe with an encore.